Welcome back to Alyssa's Movie Takes. If you are new to the channel, I welcome you here. I do movie and TV reviews and think pieces from a Christian perspective. I love to do stuff with The Chosen. Season 4, episodes 4 through 6 are in theaters right now, so go and see it if you can this weekend. I do movie reviews with a 3-category system. I want to give you an overview of these 4 episodes before I jump into spoilers. So the first thing that I'm looking for when I do my reviews is I'm looking for sand. What about this is just fun, entertaining, a great time at the movies or a great time on TV? That's my sand. Then I'm also looking for quicksand. What about this is maybe a pitfall that if we actually adapted to our lives would be detrimental, or it could just be bad filmmaking, a little bit boring, those kind of things, the bad stuff. And then finally, I'm looking for solid rock. And this is the stuff that you could build your life on. In this particular set of 3 episodes, I'm going to save my solid rock for when I talk about my spoilers, just because a lot of this stuff comes at the end of the episodes. But to give you an overview of those 3 things in just these episodes without going into spoilers, I would say that I had a good time, especially episode 4 was my favorite. And then 5 and 6 were okay. They ran a little bit together, but I thought the storyline of the Roman official was quite well done. And we'll talk about that more later. I enjoy seeing protective nature of the disciples, helping Jesus when he's distraught, when they think he's in trouble. And I also I like seeing what's happening with Judas as we get closer and closer to what we know is coming with a betrayal. So very entertaining, very interesting episodes, and I do hope you get a chance to see them in theaters. But as we go into more of the details, I'm just going to warn you that I will do some spoilers. But let's just jump in and talk about what our quicksand is. Let's get the bad stuff out of the way first. As I mentioned, I thought episodes 5 and 6 ran together, and watching them all at once can feel a little long. So I think they're giving too much screen time without a lot happening. So there are certain things that are happening, but they're sort of stacked toward the ends of the episodes. And then some of it can start to feel like filler. And the disciples this season, other than a few of them, they're not getting as much of an arc. You're not discovering more about them. They're just part of the group. I would say that's particularly true with Mary Magdalene or Tamar. Rhema, obviously, this is a spoiler. She had a big plot point, and now she's been written out of the show because they have killed her off in this season. I actually, when I was watching the sundial piece in episode 3, and Thomas gives her the sundial and says something along the lines of like, we will have so much time together. I thought to myself, oh no, they're going to kill her. And they did. And the closer they got to killing her, I was like, oh no, she's going to die. She's going to die. That's the downside of being a writer. I did like that they showed the funeral process, but some of it just feels a little repetitive with Thomas over the course of those 3 episodes, where I can see why he was hurting, obviously, but it all seemed to be a little bit one note and not up and down, up and down. So what about our sand? I think there's a lot of sand in these 3 episodes. So first off, Gaius, he just shone right through the screen this time. He did such a great job of coming to faith with so much confidence in who Jesus was, just marching right up to him, bowing his knee to him and asking him to heal his son from a distance. One of my favorite stories in the Bible. I think that they did a beautiful job of it. And then later, we'll get to this, but just that Jesus could find comfort in Gaius because of the amount of faith that he had. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. The Judas dilemma. So the episode that focuses on Judas's dilemma, right, as he starts to pull away from the group, doesn't understand what Jesus is about, wants him to be a military leader, and thinks that he can help him along with that. That's great. I loved Luke Dimian in this role, and I do hope that as we get to season 5 and season 6, that the heartbreak of seeing Jesus betrayed by Judas is really full-fleshed. But I did like seeing Judas have a bunch of screen time here. I loved seeing also the backstory of Hanukkah. I did go to a Jewish congregation, a Messianic congregation for a while, and I learned about that, but it was really neat to see Jesus and his disciples celebrating Hanukkah and explaining the story and having fun with it, because it does say in the Bible that, the only person that we know of that celebrated Hanukkah was Jesus, because Hanukkah happens between the Old Testament and the New Testament, sort of those silent years. It's recorded, and the Apocrypha, which is not, in terms of evangelicals, that's not canon, but it's in the Catholic Bible, you'll find the story of Hanukkah more fleshed out. It's really fascinating of God's provision and protection in a time of great distress. So that was a great way to shine that. We also get the story of Mary and Martha, which was fine. I do like Laz a lot, and the sisters are fine. I think they do a good job with their roles. Is there anything in this that's solid rock? And I would say yes, there's a couple things. So we start to see Jesus setting his face toward Jerusalem. He knows what's going to happen, and he's playing into it. He knows he needs to confront the leaders about where their hearts are. He knows he needs to be more focused on Jerusalem. He knows that he's coming into his kingship. I also loved the line, "The first press belongs to Adonai alone," that Zeb says as they're crushing the olives. And you just know, as he's watching those olives be crushed, that his soul is being crushed. Jesus' soul is being crushed, because he knows that this is about him. That first press, with all of the olives being crushed, being poured out, that's about him. And he knows it's about him, and he knows in his head and in his heart what's about to happen to him. And then to have Gaius just step into that moment and give him a big hug, where his disciples couldn't really understand what was going on, but something about the militant nature of Gaius and the way that he came to faith as, "You are Lord of Lords," right? It's not just, "I will follow you," but he recognizes him above all gods, above all lords. There's something powerful in that. And just the comfort that they share at the end of episode 4, I thought was just beautiful, and it broke my heart. So overall, I would just say these episodes are a great part of the canon. There's a lot to learn about Jesus. There's a lot to learn about Judas, and even the whole disciples as they try to figure out something difficult, which in this case is the death of Roumie, and also how the death of Roumie affects her dad and starts to get the goodwill that Jesus has earned turned against him. Like, that does happen in the Bible, that the goodwill that Jesus earned through the miracles also eventually turns against him, as people want him to be more than what he is. So check it out in theaters and let me know what you think. That is my take on season 4, episodes 4 through 6. Let me know what your take is in the comments, if you had a favorite episode so far in season 4, and I will talk to you soon.